And now, after all this rambling, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, is this the end of the podcast? What's up, guys, and thank you for joining us on the first 46 episodes of the JAMCast thus far. We've been blessed to have been joined by world-renowned martial artists, incredible stunt performers, movement influencers, including 8 international guests from countries as far as Canada, UK, Finland, Japan. We've been joined by 5 Guinness World Record holders, and we've even been joined by 3 current and past Red Bull World Champions. Now, I've always been someone that has created things out of necessity. In fact, when I opened my first gym, White Lotus, almost a decade ago, it was a result of me being fed up with paying for open gyms and not being treated fairly. Fast forward to, a few years later, while I'm driving home listening to podcasts on my own, I really sat there and wondered why there wasn't something that existed within our own movement communities. Now, while there have been some, and there still are some tricking and parkour podcasts that exist around the world, I really wanted to create something in the realm of our gym jam, which literally stands for and represents the concept of joining all forms of movement. Now, while there continues to be an overwhelming amount of growth and content available across platforms as far as tricking, parkour, stunts, and acrobatics are concerned, I still feel like there was a huge void in providing the background and the inspiration that can be gained through hearing the stories of individuals that have laid the groundwork for these sports, as well as those that continue to push the boundaries of these movements each and every day. Now, as a fan of podcasting, I knew absolutely nothing about it and how to go about doing so. So, like anything else in this world in this day and age, I hopped onto the internet, did some basic research on Google and YouTube, bought the most basic microphone setup you could, used some iPhones that I had, found a hosting platform online, and then found a camera switching app that would allow me to use my iPad Pros along with the iPhones that I just purchased in order to make my setup mobile. Now, when I first started this, I had no clue what it would build and grow into, and I literally just told my friends that I was going to give it one shot for a year to see what happened. And before long, I started realizing we were really tapping into something that people were genuinely interested in. Now, while the podcast continues to grow, the most difficult issue has been that this is not my full-time job by any means. In fact, we basically started the JAMCast just to do for fun. Earlier this year, for those of you that know, I was the fight coordinator of Marvel's Legion Season 3 for a few months, and then this June, I took over as the fight coordinator for ABC's Stumptown, which will continue keeping me busy until March of 2020. Now, this has caused scheduling, filming, the editing of episodes to be extremely difficult, as I'm generally on set a minimum of 5 days a week, most times 10 to 12 hours a day, sometimes more. There's literally been days where we've had trouble scheduling, working out, getting a guest in here because of my filming schedule, to the point that I've worked all day on set on a Thursday, gotten off after 12 hours at 7 p.m., driven straight home to start recording at 8 p.m., start editing at 9 p.m. while I eat dinner for the first time, just in order to get them uploaded by midnight for Friday morning releases. Now, with this being said, it leads me to have to give a huge amount of thank you and express gratitude to everyone that has been involved in the JAMCast over the past year. The most important person and thing that I think each of us have to remember is that the guests that come on each and every week are literally donating the time out of the goodness of their hearts in order to tell their own personal stories for absolutely nothing in return. I'm always truly humbled by these individuals taking the time out of their busy schedules and weeks in order to make it up here. Being able to be so open and sharing their background and stories and secrets and tips and tricks that a lot of people hold in, all with the desire to just help inspire the youth and anyone that's actually listening to our podcast. I know that we continue to get continual critiques and requests for more guests in a certain demographic or a genre. I know at one point we had gotten some criticism for wanting more female guests on the show, and I just want everyone to know that this is not due to our lack of trying to try and expand our horizon of guests. Generally speaking, we've asked numerous amounts of people from all walks of life, across all genders, all genres of movement. And what it comes down to is just most of the times we're trying to talk to the top individuals in each of these fields. And with that being said, there becomes the inherent problem that most of these individuals are either traveling the world, they're continuously working on projects, which is why they continue to be the best in the field, or they're just on a schedule that differs from mine, and as a result, things just haven't worked out. So just keep in mind, if there's someone that you would like to see on the JAMCast that hasn't been featured yet, it's not due to lack of trying or because we haven't attempted to make it happen. There's just so many factors between time, distance, and schedules that go on behind the scenes. I have to give a very special thank you to the other individuals that have donated numerous amounts of hours of their time to make this possible. And I have to thank the gentlemen that sit behind the camera and the switch wrap that make everything you see happen before you. I have to give a special thank you to Paul Whitecotton, Armand Robinall, Connor Simon, and Sam Parham, all of which have donated incredible amounts of their own free personal time just to sit on the other side of that camera and make each and every episode possible, between switching between the apps and also referencing the video clips that you see so often. Now, just along with myself, none of these guys had any previous podcast experience at all. So along the way, we're just continuing to learn and work out all the kinks and issues that have popped up, and we hope we're doing our best for you guys. And that brings me to the last person I have to thank, and one of the biggest thank yous I have to express is to each and every one of you who join us and listen and watch each and every week. If it wasn't for you and continuing to grow our audience both visually and over our audio platforms, we would not continue to put the effort into making these episodes possible. And now, after all this rambling, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, is this the end of the podcast? And it's not. This is by no means a sentimental chat to end things out, but more of an announcement of what we're trying to do for the future, what we're planning for next year, and the ways in which you can help and the feedback that we'd like as we enter into 2020. Now, the first major change and thing that you'll see is that we're going to be switching recording studios and locations. Now, for any of you that have been a guest before, or for any of you that recognize this red wall behind me, or for any of you that came to the Jam Winter Gathering and got to come see the space, you'll know that these episodes are all just shot in a spare bedroom at my house. This wallpaper isn't a real brick wall. It's a ghetto wallpaper, which is why it's crooked and some people complain about. So with that being said, we're going to be changing locations in 2020. We're going to be upgrading our audio equipment to all professional microphones and recording systems. And it should help us with a lot of the basic audio issues that we know some of you complained about over time as we continue to learn and improve things along the way. Now, one major thing that I don't think a lot of people keep in mind, or maybe they just overlook, is that everything up until this point has been completely funded out of my own pocket. It's been completely self-funded, from microphone and recording equipment to plane flights for guests to even Ubering our guests up and back for those that don't have cars. Now, we're currently in talks with some companies about being full-time sponsors of the JAMCast. And if you or a friend or any companies are interested in paid promotional advertising or want to be featured on our platform, just be sure to send an email to videos@thejamcast.com. Now, for our listeners at home, we've gotten asked this a lot. We don't currently have a Patreon account, but we just appreciate the continued support of Jam as a whole, which continues to help us make these possible, either by attending our classes, our open gyms, our workshops, or by purchasing our Jam merchandise, which is available at joiningallmovement.com/shop. Now, for those of you that would like to send a physical donation in any form, we do have a PayPal account that is linked to joiningallmovement@gmail.com. But of course, the biggest thing that you can help us with and that we ask for in the growth of the JAMCast is by helping us spread it by word of mouth with friends, other practitioners in the movement communities, or other people that just may be interested in getting some information about what it's like to enter into the realm of movement. Nothing is cooler than getting messages and comments each and every week from people that are stumbling upon the podcast, wishing they knew existed earlier. And this is only possible by you guys continuing to help share it with each and every person that we know. And lastly, the area that we could really use your guys' help and feedback on is by answering the 3 questions below, either in the YouTube comments that you're watching or by sending us an email to videos@thejamcast.com. Now, as we continue to expand in 2020, we're hoping to gain and hear the collective opinion of the community, and we're going to be reviewing all of these answers as we approach the new year so we can really try to take them into account. Now, we want to know what you're interested in seeing and what you're interested as far as the format is concerned. So the first question we want to know is, are there any guests out there that you would like to see on a future JAMCast? It can be in any genre, any walk of life. Just keep in mind that the easiest ones are always the ones that live in the United States and the ones that are obviously in Los Angeles because it's the easiest to meet up with. Second question is, do you guys prefer weekly uploads and them being on a regular, consistent schedule? Currently, we shoot jam breakdowns and release them on every Monday, and we release JAMCast on every Friday. Now, do you guys like the current schedule, or would you just prefer it to be sporadic when they just show up in your subscriber box each and every week? And lastly, question number 3, and one of the most highly talked about concepts and questions we get is, would you be interested in having the JAMCast translated or subtitled into any other languages if you don't speak English? Now, in the end, I have to thank all of you once again for being a huge and crucial part of the JAMCast thus far. It's been an absolutely priceless experience to be able to sit down with so many old friends and new friends from around the world. It's given me the chance to ask things that I've always wanted to know, even to some of my best friends. And more than anything, it's continued to provide an outlet for individuals to share their stories, as well as share the stories of those individuals that we've sadly lost in our community, like Mr. Hans Wickling II. Now, my goal is intention is to hope that we can continue to shine light upon the communities that are often overlooked so much in mainstream media sports coverage, and continue to exist as a platform that not only allows us to have a voice, but also continues to inspire future generations to come. So as always, guys, coming at you, coming through, I'm your host, Travis Wong. Thanks for joining us on the JAMCast here in 2019. And until next year, I'll see you all soon. Peace.